This is the Padua Podcast Network.
Howdy.
Hi.
Running a Fever, episode 149, 5 Ways to Beat Temptation. Hey, welcome to the show. This is Michael Davis, your life-loving, long-living companion on the road to better health. I'm out walking today for the first time on any kind of multi-mile distance in about 6 weeks. That's a hot second week in April day. Hot day, but it's good. Feels good. I was in the gym this morning, and this week I'm going to do a full week of gym. Now I was going to start out on Monday, but I still can do a 4-day workout. I did not do Monday. Stayed up too late Sunday night and just did not have the fortitude to not hit that snooze at 4:30 in the morning. But I made it this morning, and it was pretty good. It's pretty good. I just had to be careful because it was calf day, right? And I'm thinking, I had this ankle, acute bursitis is what it wound up being in my ankle, and that is really the sort of that's what's kind of stressed when you do calf exercise. But I was still able to do. I did reduced weight, but I could still feel it. There are basically two muscles in your calves. It's not too complicated. I'm sure that just like anything, if you use free weights, then you're going to be better off. It's really hard to use free weights to do calf exercises. It really just doesn't work because you have to balance on your tiptoes. I suppose you could, but I don't. It's just not, it doesn't feel safe. So, but I found a new machine at the gym today. I didn't even notice it. I was kind of trying to do my standing calf raises with some piece of plastic. I'm like, why don't they have a block that I can stand on or something, And it turns out they have a whole machine just for that. Kind of on its own. It's in the free weight area, but it's got a weight stack on it. But it was pretty good. And they had a seated thing, pretty simple machine for that. The seated machine is pretty simple. I mean, it's just a bar with weights on it and pads for your knees. So I was able to do that with some lighter weights and did more reps. I was still in pretty good shape, and did some chest and tricep work today. So it all feels pretty good, and I'm glad to be back on the routine. Building muscle is a long-term project. It's an everyday, day in, day out. Fortunately, I enjoy it. I can't imagine if you really hated lifting weights, what it would take to actually build muscle. But for me, there are other strength training exercises I suppose you can do. But for me, this is it, and I'm really glad to be back into it. And feeling pretty good. Still not ready to play racquetball yet, but I'm feeling good in the weight room. I've been facing some temptation lately, and it's affected my health. And so I'm digging in. And finding some ways that I can battle the temptations in life, And then immediately, of course, comes to mind that movie Walk Hard, where he says the Temptations, and then the actual group, the Temptations, is singing right there. Anyway, have to have seen that movie. 5 tips for avoiding temptation that I have come up with. Number 1, stop. I know it sounds ridiculously simple. Ridiculous. Just get out of here. But it's amazing how it works. It really is. I mean, all I can say is try it. Wait a minute. Just wait a minute. See if you can wait 5 minutes. Whatever it is that's tempting you, always looks a little bit different. There's something about the immediacy of that craving that once that initial time passes, it becomes less strong. The temptation kind of fades away sometimes if you wait a few minutes. Not always, but even if it does, even if it doesn't, you can use the time. If it doesn't fade, you can still use that time for our next tip, which is think it through. Think it through. What I mean by that is think about not just how much you're going to enjoy this thing that you're craving and the immediate experience of it, but think about the next hour and the next day and what this is going to do for you and how it's going to harm you if it does. What are the effects? What are the consequences of this action? If I can think it through, I can remember how I felt the last time I did something like this. You might think of how bad your stomach feels after, eating the whole thing. Eating the whole thing. The old Alka-Seltzer commercial. Can't believe I ate the whole thing. And then you're paying the price for that. So once you consider the repercussions, sometimes the temptation is not so tempting. It's not quite as attractive when you look at the whole package. Hello?
Hello.
Number 3, associate. So here's the problem. I always want to eat constantly when I'm watching videos, right? And so I eat, and then after a while I get used to it, and so that behavior, even if I'm not hungry or not at a meal, if I want to watch a video, I think I need to be eating. If I'm in a movie, I need to have popcorn. That's what I call association. You can use it to your advantage by associating, creating different associations. Like maybe you want to, associate football with a salad or some carrots or something like that, maybe you can get on your stationary bike and watch TV. And I'm just using TV as an example. It could be walking in the park. You feel like you need to have an ice cream cone. At least you're exercising, but still, you don't necessarily want to be forced to do that every time. Fortunately, I don't know any place on this trail where I can get ice cream, which is good for me. So yeah, do other things while you're eating, like reading, maybe. So you break that association with one thing and do a variety of things so you're not tied to one thing. And that is basically all about the power of habit. Howdy.
Hi.
Number 4, environment. Well, this is a big one. This is huge. And it's not necessarily gonna be the cure. Just, for example, not keeping a case of beer in your house all the time. That's not the cure to compulsive drinking. But keeping tempting things outside of your immediate reach, if the urge is strong enough, I'll go get something I'm craving, right? But what it does is it puts a time buffer, and you see this as a common theme. Putting time in between that initial impulse and when you act. It puts a time buffer inside the process and a little more natural resistance, meaning it's harder to do that thing that's tempting you. So, if I don't keep donuts in my house, the process of, getting dressed, leaving to get some, making sure I have money to get it and parking my car and all that stuff, all that moves me away from that initial immediate gratification. If I can't get it right now, do I still want it? And also fits in with number 2. All of these kind of fit in with number 2 because it gives us time to consider the consequences of yielding to temptation, which is really the reason we're trying to avoid it in the first place. This is behavior that we're not really wanting for ourselves, for whatever reason, health, morality, safety. Could be any number of things that could tempt us. And then today I read an article on Buffer, Buffer.com. They cited a study which said people who say, "I don't avoid temptation," better than people who say, "I can't." So in other words, instead of saying, I can't sleep in when I'm supposed to be exercising, you say, "I don't sleep in when I'm supposed to be exercising." I can't eat birthday cake because I'm on a diet. I don't eat birthday cake because I care about my health. So it's really simple, and a lot of these things are, it's the simple things. How do you lose weight? Diet and exercise. It's so simple. Doesn't mean it's easy. It just means it's simple. But that simple substitution of the words kind of transfers the power to the individual. I don't eat donuts because that's a choice I made for myself, as opposed to I can't eat donuts because of some external factor being imposed. I'm forcing myself to do something I want to avoid. Let's go over them quickly again. Number 1, stop. Just stop. Number 2, think it through. Think about the consequences. Number 3, associate. Do different things when you're doing the tempting thing. It's the power of association of different tasks or acts. Number 4, environment. Keep temptations that bother you particularly out of reach, out of easy reach. And number 5, say "I don't" rather than saying "I can't." So I want to take a minute to tell you about something I use every single day to help improve my health, and that's the iHealth scale. And it not only measures your weight and body fat and BMI, and can do that for multiple people, and if you enter the right, for BMI, of course, you have to have your total height as well as your weight. And the biometric impedance analysis is a 4-point system. It not only does all that, but it also tracks everything just wirelessly. Automatically adds the information into an internet database. And so the next time you open the app on your phone or you go to the website on your computer, all your information is there. Complete history. Every time you stepped on the scale, if it's multiple times per day, if it's once a day, like I usually do. And when I do the stats for the show, that you'll see in the show notes of every episode, that's how I do it. I go to my iHealth app on my phone, and I read them right off of there. I don't have to leave the comfort of my desk to get all that information. I don't have to write it down. It's all compiled automatically for me. Worth every penny, and I have been using it for a while and still use it today. So if you're interested, then please go to runningafever.com/iHealthScale, or just click the top link on the shop page at runningafever.com. That way you help the show, help me cover expenses without paying any more than you normally would. Those 5 things, I'm going to try to put them into practice and just think about them. They're really simple, really simple. Not always easy, but it's really just a matter, I think, of thinking about it. Giving yourself the time to think about it and just knowing and being aware. So I hope you enjoyed this, and if you got the fever, keep it. If you don't have it, go get it. I'll talk to you next time on Running a Fever.